Son of man, put forth a riddle and speak a parable unto the house of Israel. Since the dawn of our modern era, and even further back in antiquity in the Middle Ages, mankind has been at consistent war. Interestingly enough, no other focal point other than religion has been the biggest trigger of debate. Triggers that have sparked consistent and reoccurring cycles of senseless war. These episodes of war have become so commonplace that they've even earned their own categories termed as the Holy Wars and Wars of Religion. Wars spanning as far back as the Crusades, the Taiping Rebellion, the War of the Three Henrys, the French Wars of Religion, the epic 30 Years' War, which as its name suggests, lasted for 30 years, and most recently, the Holocaust. These events have been recorded as some of the most brutal wars, marked by a series of violent incidents and massacres of civilian life. We read and learn about these events, all saying to ourselves how thankful we are for not being alive during those periods at the low point of humanity. A period of senseless and brutal wars. Interestingly enough, yet here we are. We find ourselves yet in the midst of another religious war. In our modern advanced civilization, in a period of time with technologies such as the internet and access to information literally in the palms of our hands, yet we are just as lost and senseless as those in the past. Isn't that something? Time is but a flat circle. It said the past is in the future unless you realize to learn from the past. So what would you say if I told you that all these debates, all these senseless acts of war were all triggered because of a parable, a riddle that the scriptures themselves have literally and word for word stated, Son of man, put forth a riddle and speak a parable to the house of Israel. Are you ready to solve this riddle? This is Perspective is Everything. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. On the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. Jacob then shouted, "Let me go! Let me go!" Jacob shouted again, "Let me go! I said, let me go!" "I will not let you go, except thou bless me." "What is your name?" "My name? It's Jacob. Jacob is thy name. No more shall you be known as Jacob, for now your name is Israel." And Jacob called the name of the place Penuel, For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. A very interesting moment, wouldn't you say? Jacob, thy name is now Israel. I hope that scene was able to provide you a perspective that the writers of scriptures truly intended to portray. Before I go any further in my analysis, it's very important that I mention to you that if you're not paying very close attention while reading ancient scriptures, you won't understand when I say the devil's in the details.
Get over here!
What I mean by that is these riddles, dreams of Jacob's encounter with God, and parables of House Israel repeats on multiple occasions throughout numerous books of the Old Testament. In fact, Jacob refers to seeing God in two very specific places, one of which is being Penuel. So if you're not paying very close attention, you will assume it's two completely different stories. You might also assume you've already read that passage and flipped to the next page. I'm here to tell you, this is all a part of the riddle. The scriptures, in my personal opinion, are a test to humanity, a test for those willing to seek and attain the kingdom of God within. And trust me, I don't even think science truly understands what that statement actually means. That being said, this will be a multi-part series which I plan to unpack the entire symbolism of Jacob, thy name is Israel. I will also provide you with detailed analysis of the mysterious 12 tribes of Israel, as well as the infamous Jacob's ladder. So without further ado, Chapter 1. Jacob, Israel is thy name. So, was Jacob actually wrestling against another man? Was he actually wrestling with God in the physical external realm? Do we honestly think a mortal being can wrestle with the creator of all? The revelation is Jacob wrestled within himself. He wrestled with the image of God within him, in his own temple, within his own body of the living God. Jacob wrestled with his emotions. He wrestled against his 5 senses of the flesh. Our emotions, which are oftentimes what drives us into moments of fear, moments of uncertainty of our inner potential, leading us to doubt in ourselves, even question our God-given abilities, driving us into feeling alone and incomplete, leading us into outcomes of anger, hate, envy, and even lust for things that will cause us great harm. Many people find themselves into a repetitive cycle, a program loop that leads them into past events of trauma that many don't ever overcome. Many also spend their entire lives searching for someone else, waiting for something or someone from the sky to come and save them, when in reality, all God is truly saying to you is to know thyself. Know the image of the Creator that is within you. The symbolism of Jacob, thy name is Israel, is revealing the universal truth that this life's journey has always been you versus you. On the inside, Jacob wrestled with Israel. They wrestled in prayer, in meditation. Jacob reflected within on his own thoughts, and he wrestled against them. He desired to be a better version of himself. It is within his own choice, and only his choice, that Jacob desired to be reborn. Thy name is Israel. We have evidence of this same spiritual awakening in similar journeys in the life of the great Muhammad Ali, who was formerly known as Cassius Clay, the Honorable and Great Malcolm X, Malik El-Shabazz, who was formerly known as Malcolm Little. Were both these great men not the same in their physical bodies, while also being rebirthed in their journeys with God? Jacob, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, all understood that they could not completely rid themselves of their emotions, but they understood how to not submit to them, to then control their emotions, to tame and be one in mind, body, and spirit. Thus, they were now known as their new name. Thy name is Israel, while also still being Jacob at the same time. In this pivotal moment is where the scriptures are portraying the symbolism of rebirth, regeneration, and in fact, resurrection. A rebirth on becoming one with the God within the temple that speaks within all of us, in every creation, in every atom of the universe. Creation speaks, it moves, and it vibrates. So the question you should be looking to answer moving forward in these parables is, what is the symbolism of Son of Man put forth a riddle and speak a parable unto the house of Israel? Jacob's actual human body. I should also emphasize to you that the scriptures never suggest where is Israel as in term of a parcel of land. As I already clearly established, Israel is a person, and his house is the body. Israel is a person, and his house is the body. I know many of you are already thinking and shouting out, well, what about Jerusalem? What about the promised land? What about the land of milk and honey? The holy land that God promised to Abraham, the descendants of his seed. I'm going to say it again. The land of milk and honey. You guessed it. It's another riddle. I'll get into that in another video, and trust me, you're going to want to hear it. But for now, let's carry on with Jacob. Thy name is now Israel. In Hebrew, the name Jacob is translated to mean circle, heel catcher, to catch thy own heel. This definition of Jacob's name is actually confirmed in the scriptures themselves in Genesis 32, verse 25, saying, and he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. So again, it was Jacob all alone by himself, which the visual of this would look like Jacob's hip out of joint, wrestled behind him, touching his own thigh. Thus, it creates a circle touching his own heel, which is the symbolism of Jacob being a heel catcher, a circle. In Hebrew, the name Israel comes from the word Yishra, which is translated to mean one who struggles with God, and El, which is shorthand for God or Elohim, God contends. As I previously mentioned in other videos, the ancient scriptures have been translated on numerous occasions. The Old Testament was originally discovered in stone tablets written in cuneiform and translated into Hebrew and Arabic, which our current versions are actually copies of copies of copies passed down throughout the ages. So that being said, in Arabic, Israel is translated as one who struggles or wrestles with God. The context of struggles or wrestles in Islamic faiths means to surrender, to submit to God. It is evident that the scriptures themselves portrays through symbolism the definition of both names in both languages in the events of Jacob wrestling within himself to find God within his own temple. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to hear more, then click this link for the extended version of this video. Or you could click this link to watch one of my other videos where I decode other ancient scriptures, including those in the Bible, that reveals our human anatomy, the temple of the living God. I have plenty more to share and a lot to decode. Please like, comment, and subscribe and join the channel. I'll see you in the next video. I'm the Pie Within.